Hey everyone, this time on Tim Talks Audio, I show you how to take your program drum grooves from this to this. Using only stock plugins or your favorite compressors. When you're in the music writing process, using grooves that come with drum instruments can really help speed along the process. It gets the groove out there, you can kind of get your ideas out and not really worry initially about the drums, and they come with your drum VSTis for a reason. You're able to use them in your productions. But sometimes they don't suit your productions exactly the way you want, and you are very welcome to adjust them as you see fit to tailor to your song. That's what I have going on here, so let's dive into the DAW and take a look at how we got this really trashy drum sound. So here we are inside of this session, and you can see I have a few tracks selected here, and we should really kind of break down everything. And we start at the top and work our way down because it really is the combination of all of the parts and all of the different processes that we're doing that gets us this sound. So I'm actually just going to turn everything off. We're going to switch over to our mix bus because this is where everything eventually ends up. And I'm going to show you what I have going on here. I have 3 instances of the fat channel. In some of these examples, I am going to be using instances like compressors or EQs that are a part of the full fat channel collection. If you're a Presonus Sphere member, you already have that available to you, so you can go ahead and download and activate them through your Sphere account. If not, it is available for purchase, or you can just use your favorite plugin of a very similar nature to get a very similar kind of sound. So let's get into our mix bus. In our first fat channel, we're not even using the compressor, and we're only using the EQ, and we're using the passive EQ. So anyone who has fat channel can use this because it is included with fat channel for Studio One. I'm doing a classic trick, a low end boost and cut to tighten up the low end, and I'm doing a boost on the top end with a super wide bandwidth, so it's almost like a shelf, and it's giving us a nice smile EQ across our whole mix. Here's a quick before and after. Then what I have going on is another instance of the fat channel. This time I have the EQ first, and I am using the Baxandall EQ, which is a part of the full fat channel collection. If you don't have this, you could use another Pultec style or passive EQ. And I'm really not even doing a lot with this. I'm cutting out some of the super lows, a tiny low bump at 74 Hertz, probably about 1 dB bump here, about 2 dB on our top end, which is all the way up at 18K, and then a very small cut all the way up at 70,000. Yes, the Baxandall EQs go all the way up to 70,000. From here, I'm going into my first round of compression, and that's using the Brit Comp. This, again, is a part of the full fat channel collection, but if you don't have the Brit Comp, you can use your favorite SSL style bus compressor. Again, here's another before and after. So we're not even doing a lot of compression. It's really when the snare hits. We're just kind of clamping that down to glue it in with the rest of the kit. Then we're going into our last mix bus processor, which again is another fat channel. And this time we're only using the compressor. Again, we're using the Brit Comp. So you can do this in your plugins as well. We have some different settings here. On the first one, we had a bit of a faster attack. This way you could kind of tame that snare. Now we're going with the classic slow attack, fast release. Here's one more before and after. So now in this second round of compression, we're doing even less. Half a dB, maybe a dB of compression when the kick is really hitting or the snare is cutting through just a little bit more. Now let's go further down. If you've watched some of my previous videos, you know that I like to use buses for my similar sounding instruments. So I have a drum bus, just as well as a lot of other mix engineers have drum buses. So let's head over to there and take a look at what we're doing. Here we go with another instance of Fat Channel, and we're just using the compressor on the Fat Channel. This time we're using Classic Compressor, but if you don't have this, which is a part of the full Fat Channel collection, you can use your favorite 33609 or Neve style compressor. Let's do another before and after of what this is doing. So now we're adding a lot of smack, a lot of presence, but we're not completely killing the dynamics of these drums. We're just kind of enhancing them. We're using these compressors for tone as well as for dynamic control, but we're still kind of making up for that dynamic control. Now we're going to dive even further down, because this is all I'm doing on my drum bus, is a bit of bus compression for my drum bus, and then that goes to my mix bus and all of its processing. Now we get into the individual channels. On my kick drum, I have an EQ, which is the vintage EQ. Everyone has this if you're using Studio One and are using the Fat Channel. And we're just adding a little bit of low-end beef. We're cutting out a bit of the mids, and we're adding some top-end presence to just add a little extra attack. This is followed up by the Comp 160, which is a part of the full Fat Channel collection. But if you're only using just the standard Fat Channel, you could use the Fet Comp, or your favorite compressor that is FET or VCA style, like this one. Now let's do another before and after, but this time pay attention to the kick drum and how it changes. Moving on, we'll go to our snare track, and it's doing a very similar kind of thing. And this time we're using the Alpine 550 EQ to do just a little bit of shaping, a little bit of low-end body in our snare, cutting some of the mids, and then just a little bit of top-end knock just to help it kind of cut through a little bit more. This is then going into the compressor, and here is our friend, the Fet Comp. Here comes another before and after. This time, pay attention to the snare. Lots of presence, lots of attack, and a little extra body as well. The ghost notes came up, which was very nice. Now let's get into where we got a lot of the trash, or just that real big sound of our drums. And that's happening in our rooms. Now, we're using Steven Slate Drums 5 for this, and so there's two sets of rooms, but really, most of it is happening on this first one. Take a look at what I have going on here. Two instances of the Fat Channel, followed up by red light distortion. So let's get into the first one. For this one, we're just using the compressor, and we're using the Fet Comp in all buttons in mode, fastest attack, fastest release, and a subtle amount of compression. Watch the gain reduction meter. Here's before and after. So clearly, we're hearing more room, but we can go harder. Let's go with another instance of the Fat Channel, another instance of the Fet Comp in all buttons in. We've slowed down the attack a little bit. The release is still as fast as it can go, and we're doing another healthy dose of compression. Both of these are followed by red light distortion, and I am just doing a little bit of grit on the rooms to saturate them a little, to help them cut through with everything else that's going on. So here's another before and after. Then, like I said, we're using Steven Slate Drums 5. We have another set of rooms, and this time we're doing a little bit of EQ before we go into our compression, which is pretty much the same settings as our first set of rooms. So we'll do a before and after of this. And then another instance of Fat Channel doing a very similar kind of thing because we want that trash. It's the same settings. We just doubled it up. So you can hear the room now sounds huge, and with a little bit of saturation from red light distortion, and just the tone that we're getting from all of these different series of compression, this is what's giving us our trashy drum sound. Once again, here's a before and after with everything. And most importantly, how does this sound in the mix, which is still a song in progress. So there's just guitars. I have a bass track, but I didn't record anything in it, or at least anything good. Here we go listening to these drums in the mix with our guitars. I have everything in bypass right now, and after a couple bars, I'll put everything back in. So there you go. That's how you can take program drum grooves and your favorite drum virtual instruments and really manipulate the sounds to make it larger than life and suit the needs of your song. That's all for now. If you found anything informative, please like and share the video. For more, visit timflansbaum.com, and if you have a question, ask it in the comments and I'll answer it in a future video. Thanks for watching.